The Class B drugs are obviously treated considerably less seriously than Class A drugs. So far as penalties are concerned, in my experience, for pure possession of drugs, people very rarely get a prison sentence. So far as dealing in Class A drugs are concerned, let us take an example of importation of 1 kilo of cocaine from, for example, the West Indies. It could be anywhere. But the standard penalty following a trial where the defendant pleads not guilty but is convicted would be 12 years imprisonment. That is reduced, of course, by about a third if he or she pleads guilty. So that's an indication of the seriousness with which the courts and indeed Parliament treats dealing in those sort of drugs and indeed importing them. So far as Class B drugs are concerned, cannabis, for example, which is the most common in my experience, then the penalties are much lower. But for the sake of argument, the standard penalty for importing up to 20 kilos of cannabis resin would be between 18 months and 3 years, depending upon the circumstances. So that whether or not the drug laws are satisfactory is something which raises two basic issues. The first and obvious issue is whether or not they are satisfactory in terms of the way they are formulated and drafted. So far as that question is concerned, in my view, they're perfectly clear in formulating a system under which controlled drugs are completely prohibited. The second issue is whether or not they are satisfactory in the sense that they are the right laws to have in place for dealing with the appalling drug problems which society faces. That's a different issue.